Hey everyone, and welcome to Hannah Banana Reads. Okay, so City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I started watching BookTube videos back in 2016, and I never got around to reading this series, even though everyone on BookTube recommended it. Literally every video I'd watch, someone would mention City of Bones or the Mortal Instruments or the Infernal Devices, and I knew I just had to get my hands on this book. And I have owned this book for 3 years. It's been sitting on my shelf, just waiting for me to pick it up and go into this world, and I finally did it. And noises is how I can describe this. The entire time I was reading it, it was just noises, and I love it. I think it's wonderful, and definitely worth the hype. This book, I can't begin to say without spoiling things. So before I go into all the spoilers, let me just do a quick review, summary of the premise of the Mortal Instruments City of Bones, and you can stay for this part, and then when I get to the spoilery part, feel free to head out, read this book, and then come back because you do not want to be spoiled. Okay, so non-spoilery part. City of Bones takes place in New York, and we follow Clary to begin. We get to see, because the book is written in an omniscient point of view, which I think is really compelling. I love when stories are written in omniscient because you get to see multiple point of view characters without actually getting their thought processes, and I think it's cool to be around different characters instead of just singularly following one character. But we do follow Clary for a lot of the story, and Clary is 15 going on 16 when she starts the story, living in New York with her mom, and her mom's friend is always there, and they are this little family, and she has a best friend. His name is Simon. We get to start the book with Simon and Clary at a club. Simon does not like clubbing, but Clary likes clubbing, and so he goes because Simon's a little puppy, and he does what Clary does because he is a little puppy. And Clary, at this club, sees some people that no one else can see. And Simon is confused, thinks she's kind of going crazy, there's no one there, but she's convinced that she sees these people and that they have weapons. And so, being logical, she follows them. Of course she follows them. So she follows them and finds out they're not quite human. And one of them is not human at all. So she runs into shadow hunters and a demon. And that is how we get kicked into this world of the Mortal Instruments. We get to meet Jace, Isabel, and Alec, who are shadow hunters, while they are tracking down a demon and killing this demon inside of this club, trying to get information out of him. And it's a great way to pull you into this world because you are just thrown right in to the middle of some shadow hunters tracking down a demon. You have no time to get prepared for what's about to happen. You just get thrown right into it, and I love it. I love the world building. I think it's great. A couple people I've seen have had complaints about some of the information dumps in this book. I actually didn't mind them. I liked the backstory. I liked getting the backstory over time rather than just kind of establishing it all in the first 100 pages like a lot of books tend to do. They'll throw you into the world by just explaining the whole world, and I don't really think that's as compelling as what this book does, where you go through the book and then there's different points where they'll dump some information on you. but I like that it's spread out. So personally, I didn't mind the information dumps. I think they added to the story. I think the information dumps added to the story. I think that every time we got an information dump, it felt more like we were in Clary's shoes because we're listening to the information dumps as Clary. And so I personally thought that they added to the story. I really like them. That's gonna be it for the non-spoilery section. I highly recommend this book. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, but I am starting it today, and we'll have book talks for all of them shortly. So I recommend the first book at least. That is all I can say up to this point without spoiling it. So if you don't want spoilers, head out now. Thank you for watching the first part of this video. Come back when you've read this book. And honestly, I'm going to assume most people have already read this book and that you're all gonna stick around for the spoilery section because I am late to the party. But yeah, if you haven't read it and like me, you are super late to this train, go read The City of Bones. I'm gonna start spoiling it right about now. Okay, so we know that I like to start describing things from the end, and the end is what I'm most passionate about right about now, so we're gonna talk about Jace and Clary. I didn't want to film an entire video when I finished it, but I wanted to get some of my immediate thoughts out right as I finished the book because I feel like that's when my thoughts are the rawest, is right when I finish it. So I made some Instagram stories. Here's a clip. I love when he says that his name is Jace Wayland because he's like, Jonathan Morgenstern, and he's like, yeah, no, my name is Jace Wayland. I'm like, yes, your name is Jace Wayland, baby. I am in love with him. I know that he's in love. Okay, I remember watching some videos a while back. I tried to go into this book knowing as little as possible, even though I have seen and had like seen through just watching BookTube videos, I had seen certain things about it, character things, but I tried to like forget as much as possible, and I haven't watched anything specifically spoilery for this book, so I didn't know much, but I remembered vaguely hearing something at one point about Jace and Clary's relationship being weird for some reason because of like family, and I was like, I didn't remember that when I started this book. I remembered it when they were doing the tea leaves thing, and they're like, you're gonna fall in love with someone, you shouldn't, and I'm like, well, I think he's falling in love with Clary because sometimes he doesn't want to touch her and other times he's touching her all the time and he can't stop himself from touching her. I think that he's gonna fall in love with Clary. Also, they're the two main characters, so that's probably gonna happen, right? And then I'm like, okay, so what's gonna go wrong? Because something has to go wrong. And I started putting it together with the... I figured out, let's just start here. I figured out early that Clary was Valentine's kid because that was not a surprise. Because they're like, oh yeah, Valentine's been dead for 16 years. Clary, how old are you? She's like, almost 16, 15 and a half. I'm like, cool, so you're Valentine's kid. That happened. So I figured that out early. And then when Jace was unconscious and Hodge was just like, okay, take the cup, take Jace. I'm like, why does he want Jace? Why would he want Jace? And then they're like, oh yeah, Jace's father isn't dead. I'm like, oh, okay. So Jace is Valentine's kid. That's just great. That's just great. And I didn't know if they were gonna be half siblings or if they were gonna be full siblings. But then Clary was listening to Luke's story and Luke was like, yeah, your brother, Jonathan Christopher. I'm like, Jonathan Christopher. JC, Jace? Yeah, okay. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all because through the entire thing, I shipped it so hard. And here's why. Because there was that garden scene in the greenhouse, and I am the most overly romantic single person you will ever meet. Never been in a relationship, but these books, not like just books in general, books in general, I'm a romantic person, and so I have a list of like dates that I will go on at some point in my life. And a greenhouse/garden date has been on that list for the longest time. And this book had the audacity to give us a greenhouse garden date picnic, combining literally two of the cutest date ideas in the world. And then they're like, oh yeah, like, it's their first kiss, but guess what? They're siblings. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it one bit. I hate it, actually. I think it's terrible. I don't like that they're siblings because I ship it. I don't like when my ships don't sail. I still think that Jace is in love with Clary, though, because despite the sibling thing, we know that he's falling in love with the wrong person, which means he fell in love with her, which means he's in love with her. And so I don't know how to feel about that, because I want them to be together. But it's weird. It's weird. But okay, at the beginning of this video, when I said it was noises throughout this whole thing, that's what I meant. I was just making noises. I wish I had filmed me reading this book, because there were times where, I kid you not, this is what I looked like. Yeah, like that happened a lot. It happened a lot. Okay, moving on from Jace and Clary, I love Isabel. I think she's awesome. We don't get to see much of her in this book, but I love her. I think she's hilarious. I like when she is making the soup and Jace is just like, we don't like Isabel's cooking. And she's just like, excuse me, my cooking is great. And then when she tells them that she got Chinese takeout, and they're like, oh yeah, now we're hungry. Like, and it's just, I just think Isabel's hilarious, because she's trying her best to cook, and they just don't appreciate her. But I also love her sass. I just love the way that her character is written to be this, like, sassy, cool chick to help Clary in this world. And even though we don't really see her and Clary get along really until the end, I can tell that going forward, that's going to be a friendship that I am really invested in. I love that it was, like, developed to not just be an instant, like, oh my gosh, another girl's here, we're gonna be besties. Like, I think it's good that, like, Isabel wasn't used to sharing the spotlight with another girl. She was used to being the hot one, the one that flirts with all the guys. She didn't have any competition. And I like that she has to, like, let some of those walls break down a little bit before her and Clary get close. Definitely, like, sassy Isabel more than mushy Isabel, because, like, at the end, when she reunites with Clary, she gets a little, like, mushy, and I liked it. I liked that she was, like, becoming friends with Clary. I definitely don't want to see her, like, just be mushy, and I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think we get to see her kick more butt because she is a shadow hunter. I love her. I think that Isabel's a great character, so yeah, she's great. Okay, so I'm gonna lump these three characters together, Alec, Simon, and Magnus, because we don't really get a ton of development on all of them. We get a lot about Simon, but I want to see more from Simon, but not mushy Simon. Like, I want to see the Simon that we get to see when he shoots down the demon. Like, when Simon, little mundane Simon, pulls up with a bow and arrow and is just like, yeah, gonna real quick solve your problems for you. That Simon, that is the Simon that I want to see more of going forward in the series, because I love the idea of him, like, coming to his own, kind of showing the shadow hunters that, like, mundanes aren't all helpless. I don't like when he's just, like, crying over Clary. Like, I totally understand. Like, I feel awful for him. He has been in love with his best friend for 10 years, and she just doesn't feel the same way, and I feel bad for him. I don't ship them. I don't want to see Simon and Clary together. I don't dislike Simon. I just disliked that Simon kind of had this effect on Clary where she always felt like she had to feel bad for him, and that she couldn't really, like, make decisions for herself, because she was always kind of like, oh, how would Simon react, or like that kind of sort of thing. But I do like Simon, don't get me wrong, I like Simon. I want to see more of kick butt Simon going forward. Alec and Magnus, we don't get to know much about them. We get to see Alec like when he's at the institute and stuff. We don't really get to like know him on like a who is Alec level, other than when him and Clary have their screaming match, and then at the very end when they apologize for the screaming match. I think that Alec is going to be a great character. I can see myself really liking him. I cannot wait for them to like develop him more going forward, but I definitely like the foundation that they built of Alec. I think it's interesting to see the comparisons kind of between Alec and Simon with the unrequited love thing. I really think there's going to be something there that they're going to be able to build on, so I'm really excited for that. The other one, Magnus, I think he's interesting because he's not a shadow hunter, and so we have like a supporting character who is a warlock, and so he has like a different power set, he has a different background, he's of a different age group, and he kind of got to see Clary grow up in the terms of like, he saw her every 2 years, kind of got to see her progression. He got to see inside of her head like every 2 years to like clear out memories and like put up the block again. So I think that we're gonna get to know a lot more about Magnus going forward. I really, really like him. I think he's interesting. I like at his party when he just like, yeah, your bikes. Sucks for you. Like, I don't know, I like his attitude. I think he's great. I like that him and Alec have like a thing going. I don't know what it is, but like he wanted to see Alec again, and then he came and like healed Alec. So I don't know what that is, but there's something happening there. I really enjoyed this book. I definitely give it a 5-star on Goodreads and on any other platform. That's just what I use Goodreads. But yeah, I love this book. It only took me like a day and a half to read it. I started it one night and got through like 200 pages before I went to sleep, and then yesterday was when I finished it, or technically this morning I guess. I finished it at 2 a.m. I do my best reading in the late hours of the night. I'll just like start reading at like 10 and then just not stop. I didn't know if I was gonna finish it last night. I really wanted to. I got to a point, it was like 150 pages left, where I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna finish it. I'm just gonna power through this. I'm gonna finish it, and I'm so glad that I did. I really like it. I really enjoy this story. I really enjoy these characters. I love everything that like gets developed, and I know that more stuff's gonna go down in the next couple of books, and so some of the things I say in this might sound stupid to people that have read the rest of the series, and I am aware of that. I am aware the people in the comment section are probably laughing at me right now. Feel free to. Please just don't spoil anything in the comments for me. I will let you all know with another book talk once I have finished City of Ashes. I am getting right on that. I'm really excited to dive back into this world, and I just want to know what you guys thought about City of Bones without any spoilers for the rest of the series. So feel free to comment. Head over to my Instagram, which is linked down below. I would love to just talk to you guys about City of Bones, or about what you're currently reading, or what you last finished, or what your favorite book is, about anything that has to do with reading, or anything, honestly. Let's just be friends. Let's be bookish friends. Everyone needs more of those, because I don't know many people who read as avidly as I do. So let's be friends. Let's read together. I am going to start City of Ashes. If you are reading a Mortal Instruments book, or hey, maybe if you're even reading City of Ashes, let's talk. Let's start making some connections. I love you guys. I am so glad that you guys watched this video, and I cannot wait for the next one. I cannot wait to talk to you guys again, and you know what? Maybe, just maybe, the next video will be even crazier, so stick around.